been a while since we've been back on this TV station, but we're here today. My special guest is Carolyn Anderson, and Carolyn and I have been trying to get this show together for, we worked through COVID and didn't get it done. 3 years. So today we finally got it. We couldn't get it out at the community college today where our station is, but we're here at the Santa Fe Country Club. They are our sponsors and don't even know it. But anyhow, that's the deal, right, Carolyn?
Yes.
Carolyn, you work with bridge.
Yes, the game, the card game.
The card game. I'm calling it bridging the gap. And there are many reasons why, but
yes.
Anyhow, bridge is an interesting game. How long have you been doing this?
17 years, I think. Let's see, 17, 23, 16 years.
16 years here in Santa Fe.
I started doing it here at the country club, directing. I learned from a lady here at the country club how to run a bridge game. And then one of my golf buddies was retiring, and she said, I want you to learn to play this game.
You hadn't played before?
I had never played before till I came here and learned it here at the country club.
Yeah, that's great. That's wonderful. And now you are kind of like a director at the bridge
Yes, we have
club.
The Santa Fe Bridge Center is a building that's dedicated just to bridge. The land was donated to us by a passionate bridge player who wanted a place to play and didn't want to worry about rent. And then we had the building. We took up a donation and had the building, well, and a hefty mortgage. The building was built in Denver and shipped down here and put on the lot just across the street in the Thomas Road Bridge, Thomas Park.
Yes. So it's close to the country club then.
It's
okay.
Literally across the street.
Okay.
Yes.
And so that was the beginning of...
That was the beginning, a long time ago, about 15 years ago or so.
Now, how did you start recruiting people?
Well, there was quite a bridge community in Santa Fe, started mostly by Leonard Hellman, the rabbi.
Everybody knew the rabbi.
Everybody knew the rabbi.
Yes.
Yes. And in fact, it was the rabbi that bought that, when the business park was created, bought the land and donated it. And then the members of the club got together enough money to start a building fund, and then we had a mortgage, which we still service, by the way.
You still have it.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's Santa Fe.
Right.
Before we go on with the bridge story, I always start off about something that catches my attention. And today I was reading in the newspaper about what's going on today. We have sedition trials. We have electoral information. This is Labor Day. It's the end of the summer. We have 117 days left in 2023. We've got a lot of talk going on about the building going on around Santa Fe, and the one thing I found that made sense to me was the Lamplighter Motel.
Oh.
They have renovated that into affordable housing units. It will now be called Bella Luz, the Beautiful Light. That's pretty interesting. Bob Newhart turns 994 today.
Oh my goodness.
How does that make you feel?
Younger.
Absolutely, yeah, I am too. Not by far, though. Former Governor Richardson has died, and his funeral is being planned for next week sometime. But I went back into 1774. What happened this date in 1774? The First Continental Congress Assembly met in Philadelphia. 1864, Louisiana approved state constitution abolishing slavery.
Yes.
I don't know what the women said about that. They couldn't vote yet. So, you know, that's,
Mm-hmm.
that's the changes that happen. 4 days before the war, World War II was declared, FDR issued a proclamation declaring the United States neutrality in the conflict. 1941 came along, and bingo, December 7th, we're in the war. Times change so fast, so quick. 1975, President Ford escaped assassination attempts by Squeaky Fromme, a disciple of Charles Manson. Today, 2023, the new Oppenheimer film is bringing tourism, fueling the tourism in Los Alamos. But there are lab members that still have no-nos. So we're planning a show, incidentally, Santa Fe, on an activity that went on up in Los Alamos, and hopefully we can get it together. Another thing that's happening, 2023, Kim Jong-un is going to meet with Putin. Now that ought to be a real interesting meeting.
Yes.
I found another thing in the paper today, 1960. Cassius Clay, also known as Muhammad Ali, defeated Poland's, and I'm going to mispronounce this, Pietrkowski, who was the lightweight man that he challenged at the Olympics in 1960. That's where he won the gold medal. And the second of the 3 medals were given to a lady by the name of Wilma Rudolph with the 200-meter sprint. She had brought in several medals. So we've had an interesting history today, looking back on it, and I'm sure the game of bridge goes way back. Do you have any idea how far back that goes?
Oh, a couple. It started, I think, 2 centuries ago in Great Britain. It had a different name, whist, I think it was.
Yes.
And then it evolved from there, and now we play what's called, for years, people played Gorin Bridge. It was modernized whist and then became Gorin, and now we play modern bridge. And so the bidding is very different. Well, it is. It's different. It's much easier and much clearer. And we have classes that are at the community college, Modern Bridge 1 and Modern Bridge 2, because the people that call our directors or the bridge club and say, I played bridge with my parents, then I went to college, then I had a career, and now I'm retiring, but I play differently than I hear they play at the bridge club. And that's where we direct them to Modern Bridge 1 and 2. And we have teachers. And the classes are held at the bridge club because we need tables set up with cards and decks of cards in the, oh, I didn't bring one, but what we call a board that holds the cards. Right, right.
Okay, now I did a little bridge playing when I was at school at the university. I didn't care for it, but I was always too busy doing other things.
Right.
But now I notice people in my age group now, and I'm no kid, they're starting to take in bridge.
They're Bridge 101. Yes, it's very well organized, defined, step by step. And we have bridge games that are targeting people that are beginners, so you're not overwhelmed with the experts. And then it goes up from there. We're part of what's called the American Contract Bridge League, and we follow their rules. People have said, well, I've heard that it's called duplicate bridge. So you can play party bridge, but these games are called duplicate bridge, where you play everybody sitting your opposite direction in the room. So if you sit down and you and your partner are east-west, you're going to move around each table and play 3 or 4 boards. And but you're going to stay east-west, playing against north-south. And that way there are winners in north-south and winners in east-west.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have a partner.
Mm-hmm. You have to have a partner.
How contentious can that get?
It's not permissible to be contentious.
Well, that's what I'm asking, because I've heard of some.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. That's what scares a lot of people off. And that's what will ruin a bridge game or a bridge club. And so there are rules against any comments either between you and your partner, or certainly against your competitors, that would make anybody feel uncomfortable. And usually my challenge is when married couples come in.
I bet.
And somebody feels, one of the partners feels free to say something that
Why did you do this?
Or I told you so.
Yeah.
I thought we discussed this before.
Who
that
cares
kind
about
of
rules?
Comment,
yeah.
My ears will go up, and I'll say, I'm sorry, but you're not allowed to, you cannot, and you should not say anything. And I can quote, I'll go to the book, a book of laws that says does not permit any kind of comment that would make anybody at the table uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Because it's a game that's supposed to be friendly and fun, and doesn't serve anybody.
Well, with any sport you're in or any activity, there's always some contentious things going on. I know I've played with some people golf, and of course I'm a fun person to be with. I play for fun. I'm not a real serious golfer, but I know serious golfers. And they can be very insulting sometimes, and sometimes it ends up being a real problem.
Well, but etiquette is important in both golf, and it's just as important in bridge. And that's part of what newcomers learn is etiquette. It's so important.
Yeah. So you can take lessons at the community college, and you can take lessons at
well, the lessons are given at our place, but then once in the clubhouse, but once you've taken Bridge 1 and Bridge 2, then we have another graduated lesson that's not through the college, but right there at the Bridge Club on Thursday mornings, which has been wonderful. It's called supervised play. So you're not really playing for points, you're playing to learn. So the cards, everybody's playing the same hand, and the teacher will say, this is how the bidding starts, and then I'm going to let you go, and you're going to tell me where you got, what the results were.
I see.
And then she'll discuss what should have been bid or how it should have been bid. So it really warms you up into when you're finally doing well in supervised play. Then you start with a game on Monday morning, which is my game for newcomers.
I see.
And that's where they learn the different rules of etiquette too, how to make the opening lead, etc.
It's very inexpensive. I mean, to take these lessons.
Yes. Well, it's, let's see, a 6 weeks course. Once a week. I think they're $129 for 6 weeks.
But you're really getting some good.
They're 2-hour lessons.
Okay.
Or 2.5, usually about 2 hours. And so it's an investment. So people take it seriously, and they've been happy with them. And then they find they can graduate to the supervised play, and those are just paid directly to the club. And those, right now, they're $7 for 2 hours, but we've raised the price of our games to $9, so it'll be $9.
Yeah. One thing I want to stress.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, as you get older, you start forgetting.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
you might remember your first communion, but you go into a room and say, "What the heck am I doing in here?"
Right.
Now, our generation,
Mm-hmm.
yours and mine,
Mm-hmm.
we're having some difficulties. There's Alzheimer's out there. There are
Mm-hmm.
many things out there that are happening to show some mental problems.
Mm-hmm.
Bridge is a good thing for that, isn't it?
It's excellent, and the American Contract Bridge League is dedicated to raising money for Alzheimer's research, and there is a lot of proof that challenging your mind with this in a friendly setting is excellent for brain health.
Mm-hmm.
And we're very active with the Alzheimer's research.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
I've heard that it really does help
We have-
people that are starting to
Mhm.
fail in their memory. I think we all do as we get
Mhm.
older. Certain
Mhm.
things that start getting in our way. I find myself grasping for words once in a while.
Well, I've had a few instances today.
I know, constantly. That's why I do this television show,
Mhm.
because it makes me study
Mm-hmm.
what's happening. It makes
Mhm.
me study the
Mhm.
person I'm interviewing.
Mhm.
Everybody has a story,
Mm-hmm.
and it's great. Sports, golf is good. Any kind of sport you play is good.
Mm-hmm.
It brings out the humanness in
That's
us,
right. That's
which
right.
we need a lot of that.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Mind, body, and spirit,
Mhm.
heart.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And so I'm sure that
Yeah.
the bridge does bring that. It also helps people with friendships.
Yes. Yes. Indeed.
As you get older, you look around, oh, hell, that person's dead. I don't have a friend there anymore, you know?
Right.
So
Right.
it helps with friendships.
That's been, we spoke about this before, but that's been one of the most rewarding things is seeing people make friendships that have thrilled them, have brought so much to them. People, they end up traveling together. ACBL has tournaments literally all over the world, but a lot of tournaments all over the country constantly. All of a sudden you need your partner to go with you and to play because you know how each other bids, and so partnerships are formed and they become important partnerships. We've even had a marriage.
I was going to ask you that. That was my next.
Yeah.
How good are the relationships? Obviously, some of them have been very good.
And sometimes, you know, a relationship, a partnership that you've tried may not work.
Mm-hmm.
But in the meantime, you've met other people along the way, and there's amicable splits, and where people say, I think I'd like to play with Susie a couple of times.
Yeah.
And it's nice because we have 7 games a week. And from the beginning, middle, people that haven't played a long time, but they are certainly not beginners anymore. And then we have very advanced players. And so we have, it's all organized by how many points you've won over a period of time.
So they keep track of those points.
They do. ACBL gets a report from me or any of the other directors within minutes after a game's finished and who won which points and so forth, and that goes into their record. And
how many people help you with this? I mean, you talk about the directors. How do you get these directors?
yes, through the generosity of people that love bridge and
Okay.
and want to see games played, and so they say, well, I'll direct so that we can get more players, and it's a volunteer situation, but we do get part of the pay for the 4 hours that we put into it.
Mm-hmm.
And So it's
Do you have
we draw them from the club
do
basically.
you compete with other groups? Like, could you compete with a group in Colorado? Have a trip sponsored or something like that?
We have what we call local tournaments. For instance, we have a big tournament here at that we hold because at St. John's Church on Old Pecos Trail, because we will have people come from Colorado, from all over New Mexico. They come up from Arizona, Texas, and because they want to earn red points or gold points at and that's another thing. The points are different colors depending on how hard the hands are.
So they can establish points in another setting.
Yes. Yes.
Interesting.
To become the main goal that most people have heard about is somebody is a, quote, life master. And that shows that you've been playing a while, because you have to earn 500 master points. Now, your first master point or percentage of a master point can be won the first day you play, if you do well, or if the others hand you games by not doing as well. I mean, it's not always that, but and so for instance, my Monday game, the newcomers may win their first fraction of a point, and they're thrilled. we won 0.5 of a black master point. Mm-hmm. And then it goes in the games that are played over different states. We have a tournament coming up in a couple of weeks, and there will be 7 states competing. So my Monday morning game that has about 20 loyal players, they will be playing against everybody else's in 7 states at that time of day with the same hands, and they will be awarded more points than a fraction. It might be a whole point or so forth, and it could be pigmented. And so all of a sudden there's this attraction of this competition.
You get to know these people then.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
I've always said, just get out on a golf course and you know that person you're playing with.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
One round of golf, you know who you're playing with.
Right, right.
I mean, I've been fortunate. There's some people I stay away from.
Yes, indeed.
But you get an idea of what kind of person you're dealing with.
Oh, sure.
So I imagine you have to be very careful with your personality or somebody else's personality.
Yeah.
You learn to be careful with.
I've had unpleasant experiences,
Mm-hmm.
and we have to protect our players against that.
Good.
And we are taught in our training with ACBL what to look for and what not to allow, and it's all for the protection of new players. And because you let somebody who's obnoxious into your game,
Ruthless,
you're going to lose your game.
Yeah.
People are just not going to put up with it, and I've been put in that position before.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah.
You talk about some people here. You mentioned some names that were kind of interesting, that are very well known today. One of them being Warren Buffett.
Oh, yes. We have when you join ACBL, you get a magazine every month, and it has wonderful hands and articles and lessons and interviews. And I think it was Warren Buffett who was interviewed by ACBL for the magazine, and he said one of his embarrassments was that he had not invested in Microsoft.
Well, naturally.
He was slow to invest, but after he did, then Bill Gates called him and said, "Would you teach me how to play bridge?"
So
And they did.
yeah,
And,
it's probably a good lesson for people like that.
oh, yeah.
That,
Oh, my goodness.
that are so
yeah.
wealthy.
Right, right.
Nothing really means anything to them
Yes.
anymore. And bridge is probably a real challenge.
Oh, it is indeed.
You also mentioned Dwight Eisenhower. Now, I can't imagine Dwight Eisenhower sitting down and playing bridge, but
He did. He did. And the story in the Bridge Bulletin not too long ago, just a few months ago, was a story of him playing with one of his generals the night before the invasion of, I think it's
D-Day.
No, Northern Africa.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't D-Day, it was Northern Africa. And nobody could sleep. They had done everything, everything was ready to go. They knew what time it was going to start in the wee hours of the morning, so they just said, let's play bridge.
Oh, that's good.
And what was charming was that they kept track of those hands. They wrote them down because they wanted it to go down in history, the hands. So in the bridge book, you can look up and play those hands that Dwight Eisenhower played the night before that
I'll be
invasion.
darned. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it does take your mind off of things, I imagine. It's
You
better
know,
than sitting home drinking.
I think you've hit on something that I forgot to mention in our notes, and that is that it's a fun and wonderful way to just spread everything away and just let's play bridge. That's all you do. Go up, get a glass of iced tea or water, a cookie, come back to the bridge table. And for 2 hours, you just don't think about anything else but the fun you're having.
I've heard of people that are going through grief.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've got grief counselors today. You've got things that help out with that.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
a lot of people will get a group and play bridge, and that way they're able to.
Yes,
helps
because
with
it
their
does,
grief.
It demands your concentration.
Mm-hmm.
And so everything is gratefully laid aside. And
Can you tell me any details about the worst game of bridge you've ever had? You don't have to mention any names.
in what respect? The worst game?
The worst.
You mean the worst,
The worst
I played?
no, the worst interaction, I guess I want to say.
Oh,
We've all had them.
gosh. You know, that's really interesting you asked that, because I can't really, I guess it would be one time when a director somewhere else was not in control of the game, and it got louder and louder, and then people were speaking loudly to each other. The director lost total control of the game, and that made the game miserable. A director is always listening. I mean, we might be sitting way over there in front of the computer making sure all the scores come in, but we're listening for any voices that have changed pitch. Just get up and go over. They're supposed to call director, please, if there's a problem.
Oh.
And somebody would put a card on the table, or maybe drop a card by mistake. And now that card's exposed. We know where the ace of hearts is.
Okay.
And that happens. Everybody has problems. Our hands are getting arthritic or shaky or something. You drop a card or whatever. And once they learn that all they have to say is, director, please, we need a ruling. And you go over and you say, oh, what's happened? Oh, that happened to me. Don't worry about it. We'll fix it. And you just tell them how to handle it with the rules. And you put them at ease. They're there for fun.
Yeah.
And it's really, if a game's not fun, it really lays at the feet of the director. The director has to be the one in control.
Now, what's the best game you've ever played?
The best.
I'm sure there was one game, one time.
I think that actually, to be honest with you, I mean, there isn't the best, but the best setting is a tournament that's coming up in a few weeks, and unfortunately I'm not going to be able to go this year, but always look forward to the Taos tournament. It's in the old Taos Inn. They have a fantastic setting. It's a great big auditorium, but it's all southwest with weavings and everything. It's just a wonderful atmosphere, and it's just great. And I think my most enjoyable times have been those tournaments. And I would think that most people would say that their fondest memories happened at tournaments. You know, everybody's there for 3 or 4 days. They're spending the nights. Where are you going to eat dinner together afterwards? And did you see that hand? Because they're all playing the same hands, so you can discuss it afterwards.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's like reading, it's like a giant book club. And you say, oh, that hand, did you see that? You know?
Is there anybody other than Rabbi Hellman that you might want to mention that has contributed to this event you're going to be having, or to the Bridge Club? Are there any particular persons that you would like to mention?
Well, I think Kay Enfield directed for a long time and worked with Leonard in getting this building going. Kay was a big one, and a few others. I wasn't involved at that time, so probably somebody who'll see this will say, you know, I did this too.
Right.
But there were a lot of people that were playing then, and I was just over here at the country club. I wasn't playing full bridge at that time when that was going on. But I wish I had thought of more names, but Kay was very influential.
Yeah. There are a lot of good bridge players in this town, I've heard,
yes.
you know.
Yeah.
One of the people I know, the character is Elaine Prince.
Oh, bless her
She's,
heart.
I don't know how old she is now.
99 last week.
But she's played for years.
Yes,
And
yes,
she,
yes. Loyal supporter of the club, and was always there in my game on Saturday. And yes, she's she's living a nice living at El Castillo, but she's not coming to the Bridge Club anymore. Yeah.
Well, you know what? This has been very interesting. Is there anything else you'd like to touch on?
Oh,
this
no,
upcoming event,
well,
you've talked about that.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to play, what should they do? They get online, what do they do? Go over to the Hellmans?
Yes. This coming Sunday, the 10th of September, we are having a open house to come and visit the Bridge Center, meet our directors. A teacher or two will be there. Sit down, play a few hands if you used to play, and see if you would like to learn more. And I'll have a list of lessons and will be coming up at through the community college. You sign up through them, but they will be given at the Bridge Center. And I'll have refreshments.
Great.
From 1 to 4 this coming Sunday.
Okay. At the Bridge Center.
At the Bridge Center.
Located at?
3827 Thomas Road.
Okay.
Off Airport Road. Just before, if you're coming from the east, it's just before the turnoff to the country club.
Okay. Got it.
So 3827 Thomas Road.
Okay, Santa Fe, Carolyn Anderson, our guest today.
Thank you.
Carolyn, thank you for showing up.
Thank you, Carolyn.
And I'm glad you got this going, and it's wonderful. We're doing our post-COVID, and hopefully keeping our fingers crossed we don't have another.
Yes,
because
that's another thing I'd like to mention. The Bridge Club does have just installed more fresh HEPA filters.
Oh.
And they're very effective. I've had people say, I like coming every day because my allergies don't bother me here. And that's because of the HEPA filters.
Now, I hate to even mention this because it's a pain sometime, but in the event we go into another situation, what about masks?
We have masks available. Some people are wearing them now, have worn them, have not stopped wearing them because they might have somebody who is whose immune system is compromised and they don't want to catch a cold or something and take it home. Anybody who wants to wear a mask and has forgotten them, I have a supply of them. They're not masking right now.
Yeah, I know they're not.
But a few people are because of somebody at home.
Well, I notice there are some real elderly people that are wearing them. They're scared, naturally. But this is good to know that you do have.
And we have hand sanitizer everywhere, and you can do that as much or as many times as you like.
Okay.
So,
Carolyn, thank you so much. Enjoyed your visit, and
this was a great opportunity.
Thank you, Santa Fe, for tuning in. We will let you know when the Oppenheimer show is going to be on. That's going to be an interesting one, never been done before.